Alright guys, well, as we continue on with multiplication, and like I said, you guys are going to be seeing word problems all the time, constantly, and it's just going to get more and more as we go, because we want you to be able to put into practice the math that you're learning. We want you to be able to learn real life problems and be able to use your math to help you solve. So with multiplication and the multiplication word problems, there are certain key words you're looking for to help you know that you can use multiplication to solve those problems. And those key words are going to look like these ones down below. You're going to have equal groups, equal rows, maybe equal bags, anything really that's talking about some sort of equal groups, equal numbers in different groups. You're going to use multiplication. And then also the word times. If you see the word times, then you're going to be multiplying. You know, Mr. G had 5 apples and Mrs. G had 6 times as many as Mr. G. That word times is telling you that to multiply. So if I multiply 5 times 6, then I would actually be able to figure that problem out. But those are just some keywords, and really you're looking for that equal group type of wording in the word problems. When you see that, you know you can use multiplication. And I'm going to take you through some word problems to help you see what those are going to look like. So here's the first one. We have let me get my writing tools up real quick. I don't know why it always does this on this computer. Let me pull it back up. But anyways, here's our first problem. We have a store owner was buying uniforms for his employees. If each of his 3 stores needed 8 uniforms, how many uniforms would he need? So here's a case where this store owner is buying uniforms. He has 3 stores, okay? In each of his 3 stores, he needs 8 uniforms. So what that looks like is if this is store 1, then they need 8. Store 2 needs 8. And store 3 needs 8. So it doesn't necessarily say the word equal groups, but you can see how these stores are representing equal groups. Each store has 8 uniforms that they need. So my multiplication sentence would look like this. I have 3 stores, so it would be 3 stores multiplied by 8 uniforms at each store. It's going to equal excuse me, 24. So that store owner would need to purchase 24 uniforms in order to fill each of his 3 stores with 8 uniforms each. So again, this word problem doesn't say equal groups or equal rows in it, but you can see how the stores represent those equal groups, and they have 8 uniforms in each store. Let's take a look at this next problem. John bought 2 boxes of books at a yard sale. If each box had 5 books, how many books did he buy? So he buys 2 boxes of books. Here's 1 box of books, and here's the second one. It says that each box has 5 books. So there's my equal groups right there. It says each of these boxes has 5 books in the box. So in essence, I made 2 groups of 5. 2 equal groups of 5, or 2 boxes times 5 books in each box. So 2 times 5, and I can count them, that's going to give me 10. Okay, so again, this doesn't say the actual word equal groups, but I can see how these boxes contain equal groups because each of them has 5 books. Let's take a look at another one. An employee at a construction site earns $8 an hour. If he works 8 hours in 1 week, how much money would he have earned? So this one looks a little tricky. But you're going to really want to know how to multiply when it comes to this, because there's going to come a time in your life where you're going to be working, and you're going to be working for an hourly wage. And if you're adding instead of multiplying, you might get a messed up paycheck that you don't realize. So you want to make sure you know how to multiply. So in this case, this construction worker, he earns $8 every hour. So every 1 hour he works, he earns 8. So it says that he works 8 hours. So let's draw these boxes again. Each of these boxes is going to represent 1 hour. And he works 8 hours. So let's say each of these boxes is 8. Each box represents 1 hour. And this worker works 8 of them. Okay? Now, again, if we go back, it tells us that he earns $8 an hour. What that's telling me is that every hour he works, he earns $8. So in every single hour, he's going to earn $8. So there's hour 1, he earns $8. Hour 2, he earns $8. Hour 3, he earns $8. Every single hour he works, he earns $8. Okay, there you go. So we have 8 hours times $8 per hour, and that's going to give me $64. 8 times 8 is 64. One cool thing I want to show you, it's a little bit of ahead of time. The way I figured that out is I actually forgot what 8 times 8 was. So what I ended up doing is I split this in half. Okay? This was 4 hours. Okay? With 8 hours. This one up here was 4 hours. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 4 hours with $8 per hour. I knew that 4 times 8 was 32. So that means down here, 4 times 8 was also 32. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I just added these two numbers together, and it gave me 64. So if 4 times 8 is 32, and 4 times 8 is 32, I add them together, 64. Therefore, 8 times 8 would be 64. That's called the distributive property, and we'll actually show you how to do that in one of our next lessons, but that's just a little preview of what's coming. Alright, so going back here, again, this guy worked 8 hours. Every hour, he earned $8. 8 times 8 equals 64, so he made $64 in that week. Alright, and here's our last one. A pet store sold 5 gerbils in 1 week. If each of the gerbils cost $8, how much money would they have made? Well, here's a gerbil. Okay. And they get little long tails, okay? And that gerbil is $8. And tells me in my number sentence that each gerbil costs $8. So every gerbil, like I said down here, costs $8. And they sold 5 of them. So there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So each of my gerbils is like an equal group of $8 because I got to pay $8 for every gerbil. So they sold 5 of them. So I have 5 gerbils times 8 because they cost $8 each equals 8 plus 8 is 16 plus another 8 is going to give me 24 plus another 8 is 32 plus one more 8 is 40. 5 times 8 equals 40. So they made $40 off of those gerbils. Okay? So again, as you're looking at these word problems, you might not actually see the words equal groups or equal rows. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But what you're looking for is in these word problems, the making of equal groups. In this case, like I said, the gerbils sort of represent those equal groups because each single one was $8 and they sold 5 of them. So you can see my 5 gerbils, and each one was $8. So I have equal groups of $8. Okay, that's what I'm trying to find in these word problems, is what equal groups I have that I can multiply. We'll go over this more in class again, just looking for those equal groups.